Hey y'all, this is Brandon Shields, the sports editor of the Jackson Sun, just trying to give you kind of a little bit of an update. I guess not necessarily official projections of how teams will be matched up in the first round of the playoffs when the TSSAA releases their playoff brackets tomorrow or on Saturday about 10 o'clock in the morning. But it's just kind of based on what the projections were going into Week 10, and then basing off of results from Friday night in Week 10 action, just kind of how the quads affecting local teams look. Now, just in case you're new to this party and you kind of need a refresher about how they figure all this stuff out, the TSSAA pretty much takes all the district champions and runners up and puts them in the playoffs, and then they're going to have wild cards from all across the state make the playoffs. That's determined by various different factors, starting with number of wins. The second factor is number of wins over quality opponents, and there's literally I think 19 or 20, about 20 factors that go into this thing. And then once they figure out who the teams are that are in the playoffs, and that's 24 teams in classes 1 and 2A, and then 32 in classes 3 through 6A. Then they pretty much divide those teams into 4 different quadrants, and they take the 8 or 6 easternmost schools and put them in quad 1. And then they'll take the next 8 or 6, depending on which class, let's just go ahead and say in one of the bigger classes. Then they'll take the next 8 easternmost schools and put them in quad 2. And they keep doing that until the westernmost 8 schools are in quad 4. And then once they've got the quads determined, then they'll seed the teams in each quad. And whoever in the quad won district championships, they'll seed them first, and then they'll seed district runners up, and then after that they'll seed the wild card teams. So, having said all that, let's take a look at kind of how Friday night played out and how it could affect things in matchups next Friday in, I guess, what we call Week 11 or Week 1 of the playoffs. First of all, looking at 1A, local teams are only in quad 4 in 1A. Union City went into Week 10 as the number 1, projected number 1 in quad 4, Dresden number 2, Humboldt number 3, Brewston 4, Gleason 5, Lake County 6. Union City and Dresden are probably going to stay 1 and 2 just because Union City was a district champion, Dresden was a runner-up. Humboldt will probably drop. It's very possible that Humboldt's going to drop from number 3 because they got beat tonight by Peabody and obviously didn't finish as their district runner-up. Brewston didn't finish as district runner-up. They're both Brewston and Humboldt finished with a 7-3 record, but I think that Brewston's win over Gleason tonight could be enough to bump the Tigers ahead of Humboldt for that number 3 slot. That will give the Tigers a home game and next week and hosting the number 6 seed. I'll go ahead and probably say Humboldt's probably going to stay at number 4 or stay right behind Brewston at number 4 and host the number 5 team, who it looks like is going to be Gleason, who is also 6-4. So we're probably looking at a Gleason going to Humboldt matchup, and then Lake County would stay number 6. After their win over Gibson County, put them at 5-5, and they would go to Humboldt for a rematch or go to Brewston. In 2A, it's kind of looking like TCA, the district champion of 15A, is number 1. Huntington was going in as the 2nd seed this week. They won the district championship in 13A over Dresden, so I'm guessing they'll stay number 2. Memphis Mitchell won the 16A championship, so they're probably going to bump up to number 3. Then after that, we've got a couple of district runner-ups in this quad. Peabody and Hillcrest, and Peabody was ranked ahead of Hillcrest. Peabody's win over Humboldt gives them the 14A runner-up, so they'll be ranked ahead of Hillcrest, and then the one team who is not a winner or runner-up, which is Halls, will obviously stay in quad 4 as close as they are to the Mississippi River. So it's looking like Halls will go to Mitchell, and Peabody should host Hillcrest. I could be wrong about that. There was some conversation earlier tonight where it looked like I could be wrong on that, but it's just kind of basing that on just what I know about the system. That should be Peabody staying at home to face Hillcrest. and then TCA and Huntington get the bye. We do have a couple of teams who are in Quad 3. Adamsville finished second in 15A, so they're going to get a bye. Eagleville over in close to Murfreesboro will also get the bye and be the number 1 seed in that quad. Riverside's loss to TCA will probably hurt them. They went in as the number 4 behind number 3 Forest. They could drop down to 5th or 6th. So it looks like they're going to go on the road to either Forest or probably Mount Pleasant or Loretto. So a little bit of a drive probably for Riverside next week. In 3A, there are only 2 teams. I believe I don't have the district standing in front of it. I think there's only 2 teams who finished in the top 2 in their respective districts that are in Quad 4 of 3A. First one is Lewis County, who finished the season 10-0. The number 2 seed behind them is going to be the 13 AA runner-up, which is Westview. So Westview is going to get a number 2 seed after their win over Crockett County on Friday night. Hickman County went in as the number 2 seed, went into week 10. They're probably going to drop down to at least 3rd. And then Manassas is after them. Camden comes in at number 5, who could be looking at a long trip to Manassas. South Gibson will be number 6. JCM number 7. They're both 4 and 6. And then Memphis Fairleigh. Now South Gibson and JCM could drop down a spot, so that could drop them down to 7 and 8 because of their losses tonight. But either way you slice it, they're going to be on the road next week, still in the playoffs. Class 4A, I think we got 2, or we definitely got 2 quads to deal with here. Tresvant, Dyersburg, and Covington are all district champions in Quad 4. Then we're going to have 2 district runner-ups in that quad as well, Craigmont and Liberty. Liberty could have moved over to Quad 3 had Obion County beaten Milan and worked his way into the playoffs, but since Milan beat them, Obion County's not going to get it in, so Liberty stays. Liberty will stay in Quad 4. It looks like they're going to be a number 5 seed and will travel to Craigmont next week. And then behind Liberty are 3 local schools: Northside, Crockett County, and Haywood. Northside's probably going to stay at the number 6 seed and could possibly be looking at a return trip to Covington, where they went a couple months ago and got beat. Haywood could be going back to Dyersburg, or Crockett could be going back to Dyersburg, and then just depending on who's 7th seed, the other one's going to be the 8th seed traveling to Tresvant. In Quad 3 of Class 4A, Pearl Cone came in number 1, then White House, then Lexington, Greenbrier, Page, Maplewood, Montgomery Central, and Chester County. Chester County, there are 3 district champions. The top 3 are district champions. Chester County is the only district runner-up behind those 3 champions.